Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. We are here. Hello. Back in the pig pen with the pigs. Welcome Kim.
Hello.
And Dan is here as well.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey. Gonna be drawing this Catman and saying hello. So if you have any questions or anything like that, comments, stuff you want us to weigh in on, pictures of private parts,
Whoa!
feel free to drop them in the chat.
Don't do that. We are not soliciting.
You're gonna catch a ban, dude. You're gonna catch a channel strike. What's going on?
I'm not gonna do that. I'm just kidding.
Jeez, new house, new Dave. My God.
It's just stream of consciousness.
Oh, okay.
I'm just freeballing.
Well, I told the whole chat that you guys would be doing an hour and a half of stand-up freestyle. So
That's pretty
whoever
good.
wants to begin, go for it.
If I'm ever in a coma, can you do a stream of consciousness where you just live stream my coma and everybody prays that I wake up?
Yeah.
You just do a live fundraiser 24/7.
Come on, if we can get enough people in here.
The Daniel Warren stream of consciousness. Come on, wake up, Dan. Wake up, Dan. Come on.
He's not gonna wake up, is he?
I know he's still conscious. We just got to give it another 39 days.
Just the news, putting it out there.
We'll just
They're gonna bring him back.
We'll do one of those 24-hour, those like telethons that they used to have where people can call in. We'll just have that. We'll have a phone number that people can just call in, and they'll request stupid things from us, like to do with you, to do
There
with
you
your
go.
body.
Ask me to draw stuff on my body in Sharpie.
After 30
Yeah.
days when Dan doesn't wake up. All right, everybody, we're officially pulling the plug on Dan's life support. Just,
You had to play the Iron Chef theme when you start pulling the plug, where it's like da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Fucking time's running out.
more money, more prayers. Please.
We've never seen anything like this. In his final moments,
phones
they're about to pull the plug. The phones are going up.
Lightning has just struck the studio. Your body's shaking, covered in electricity. Just smoking.
The judges are wondering if this counts as him waking up. It's a negative. It's a negative.
The judges. It stinks. His body stinks. It's starting to stink.
The lightning is causing it to flop around like a fish, but that's not consciousness.
It's
There's still no brain
him.
activity.
We have a ruling. Dan is still dead.
I smell bacon.
There's sweat dripping down his face. That is not a sign of life.
We have tribal cannibals come in and eat you. This is their custom. We're gonna have to honor his body. We brought in a tribe. It's not offensive. This is their culture. They're gonna eat Dan.
This way, Dan can live on as one of the Mi'kmaq. Dan.
Well, and in those
Love you.
tribes, the women get the brain. So that's like the least desired part of like eating somebody.
Hell
You just see some big lady
And
take a
so-
bite of your brain and throw up all over herself.
No, I was gonna say she just starts like telling jokes like that. She starts doing Steve voices. She like took that part of the brain.
Well, John, that's insult to injury. She can't even swallow Dan's brain. What a day it's been here at Hospital Stadium.
Hospital stadium.
Next week. whose body are we gonna do next week?
Yeah, exactly.
We brought in the Philly Flyers to hit pucks at Dan for the next hour.
It's a dead body wearing goalie gear hanging from a rope, just limply getting just the sound of pucks hitting a
Just
padded
the
dead body.
wham.
Wow.
Slap.
Just
Oh.
oh, it's good.
I would love that.
That's pretty good. I would love for it to just be the movie Sleepy Hollow, but instead of the Headless Horseman, it's just a dead body wearing goalie gear falls off the bridge in front of Ichabod Crane. It's such a specific, horrible sound.
I mean, honestly, even an Ichabod Crane little bit would be nice for the, I don't know, I don't know what you'd call this. It's not a fundraiser. It's just a raising the dead.
It's a
There you
telethon.
A fundraiser.
It's just an old school telethon.
It's not a fundraiser, it's a fundraiser where we're raising the dead. We're having a good time doing it.
Yeah, like every hour we have a theme where the headless horseman runs out with a flaming pumpkin and just whips it at your body.
Yeah. Ah. We've doused Dan's body in kerosene and we're taking bets on which pumpkin will ignite the corpse.
It's a thoughts and prayers a-thon. See how many thoughts and prayers we can get for you.
Thoughts a thon. Prayer fed.
Just think about Dan. Think whatever you want. Good, bad, indifferent. Might wake him up.
Hi chat. What's going on? How's things?
I like the thoughts part of thoughts and prayers. Because prayers I get. Prayers
so
is like at least
non-specific.
some actionable thing. But like thoughts, it's like, what kind of thoughts?
Thoughts could be so negative. It's so vague.
Fucking
I'm
die.
just thinking. I just
Yeah.
Just thinking about Dan getting eaten
Just
by
thinking
lions.
about him. I'm just thinking about him.
I don't know if
Do you
my
think
thoughts are
that
helping.
who's that Marvel guy who can open up portals? What's his name?
Doctor Strange.
Mr. Different.
Yeah. Do you think Doctor Strange is just like
Mr.
the most
Different.
powerful thoughts and prayers?
Yeah.
I mean,
His
his
mind
thoughts
is so
and prayers can
powerful.
alter reality. If he thinks hard enough, he can turn back time. I mean,
So that's the only type of thoughts and prayers that you want, right?
it's a whole lot of thoughts. I'm just saying. Oh my goodness. So
don't give it-
what?
Don't give me your thoughts and prayers unless it's that, okay?
I can imagine the Benedict Cumberbatch delivery of that. Stop thinking and praying. You're gonna tear a hole in the multiverse with your thoughts and prayers. Stop it.
It's
Your
too
name
many
is
all at
America.
once.
His weird not American accent where he's like, your name is America Chavez. You thought and prayed too hard and ended up here in Earth 616.
Yeah,
You
that, I
thought
don't
and
understand
prayed.
what that accent is.
He like over Americanizes the enunciation. He like the words are too like round. America Chavez. Chavez. It's very, I don't know.
That
Benedict
sounds like
Cumberbatch
I'm
is a-
talking to Benedict right now.
I know.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Chavez.
Odd how
Is there a plan for?
I don't know if that's him.
What does he say to Tony Stark that makes me laugh every single time I try to watch that movie because it's the worst pronunciation? Is it douchebag? What does he say?
douche
Probably.
bag. Does he say that?
I think it's after they're talking about ice cream, and he's like, "That pot you're leaning on, douchebag, is the cauldron of the cosmos, cauldron of the cosmos." Is there a plan for next week? Have you told chat?
No, we're
Loosely.
gonna do something.
Okay, live from the woods.
Yeah, we'll have a stream.
Okay. Live from the woods in New Hampshire. It's Connection Fest.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to you live
We have
Saturday
Starlink.
night.
We're
Oh,
gonna
they do?
we're gonna remake the Blair Witch Project. It's gonna be me, Dave, and Kim in the woods.
Hmm.
In the
And
woods
then
in New
what?
England. And then what?
And then
Dan's
what?
gonna sit against the wall and not talk.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dan? Dad, are you there?
Are you in there?
Yeah, I know.
Dan?
And you'll hear. What was that? That was a witch.
I know how stupid all of that sounds, but I feel like I'd still get scared.
Oh my god, I
true.
think that was a Blair Witch.
Uh-oh.
I think that's what that was.
One of those things.
Are you
Shoot
talking
it to
about
me
a Blair?
straight, Doc. Is this a supernatural place or what?
Is this a Blair Witch? Give it to me straight, Doc. Am I dealing with a Blair Witch project?
I am a
I've
medical
never
doctor.
seen
I
that
don't
movie.
know.
I don't think I've ever seen it either, or the sequel.
I've only seen clips of them, like, obviously they're in the woods and they're like the boogers running out of their nose. And
I heard that most people who see it 7 days later, something happens.
Oh,
Something
that's
unfathomable.
why. Okay. That's
Oh,
why
you mean like
bullshit.
Ringu, the original Japanese version of the ring?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ringu.
Ringu.
That,
Don't
that
watch
goo
this
in the
fucking
ring goo
movie,
got stuck
dude.
in your throat, Dan.
Yeah.
That ring goo.
Ringu.
Don't watch this fucking movie. It's so freaky. You might not ever leave it.
You might not believe what
Ever.
you're seeing. You might not believe your eyes.
I just remember, like, before the internet was what it is now, there were so many, like, shit marketing campaigns that were like, you're actually gonna get something's really gonna happen to you. That very, like, chain email-y marketing.
Well, was it one of the
It is
Paranormal
Cheney.
Activity movies?
Wow.
What, Dan?
Was it one of the Paranormal Activity movies where they were like, your town doesn't want you to see this movie. An old lady died 30 minutes after leaving the theater.
Yes,
You have to
exactly.
petition your mayor to get this movie to come to your town.
It's gonna be taken out of theaters. You better go see it right now.
Oh,
There's
man.
an old man's flaccid penis in it at the
Whoa.
39-minute mark.
The scariest thing of all.
They're gonna take it from it's literally what they did with that child trafficking movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's like literally that, except
They
that-
turned
that
the AC
they just
off
used-
and they peed in my popcorn. They didn't
It's
want me
just-
to see Sound of Freedom.
it's literally just horror movie strategies from the early 2000s.
I went to see Sound of Freedom and they put Raisinets in my slushie. They didn't want me to see it.
us
those are
watch
some
it.
good ones.
Let us watch
Half-
Taken.
Halfway through the movie, all the lights came on. The theater. It's almost like there's a ghost in there that doesn't want us to see Sound of Freedom.
At the end of the movie, the lights came. It's almost like it ended. The movie should keep started over. It's too important. I took my whole
like
church.
It's pretty good.
I took the entire congregation to see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning.
Yeah, there you go. Dead Reckoning, yeah.
This is happening somewhere right now. This Dead Reckoning movie.
The government does not want us to see Hayao Miyazaki's final film, The Boy and the Heron.
Imagine
The
trying to
whole
like
film was
utilize
in a-
that marketing strategy for everything else now that it worked.
The film was in a foreign language. They don't want us to see it. The entire thing was in Japanese.
The mayor of my small town called it Crapanese. Support this movie. Stop racism in its tracks.
Donate to my channel, like and subscribe. Spread the truth.
This is a real movie. Nobody wants you to see this.
Also,
Nobody
chat,
wants to watch this fucking movie.
That's getting a U.S. release December 8th, so looking forward to it.
The government
I
hates
like-
this movie.
I like that from Darkstorm in the chat. Be right back, starving. That's good.
I'm
We
going to be
saw a
standing in the
crane
corner.
today.
Whoa, that
We
was
saw
Kim won because Dave's low voice just all blended together. So you saw a crane today.
We did.
How'd that go?
We went on a bike ride. It was massive, and then we saw all these weird birds that had like black.
Black bodies,
Bat
red
wings.
beaks.
Mm,
They did not have
They're
black bat
white.
wings.
mm.
Can't just say that. Then we saw all these birds with bat wings in the water.
Then Billy Corgan came down on the moon and a spaceship flew into space.
And then
Sitting in the
Morbius was
log.
there. Or what was
Morbius.
it? What was that dude we used to listen to? Smell the Witch?
Mortis?
Mortis. That's it.
Mortis?
Yeah, the goblin.
The goblin elf musician man?
Yeah, if you guys don't know who who it's Mortis. Yes, if you guys don't know who Mortis is,
Mm.
look him up. He has a song called Smell the Witch. It's very good. Dan and I used to get trashed to that.
It's been 12 long years since I smelled the witch.
Is that her over there? I It's very much like that.
We put it on repeat one night until we beat Metal Slug 3. It was one of the worst experiences of my life.
It's funny though. Yeah, I used to go to FYE, the music store, and I would just look for albums that I thought, look stupid, and I just buy them. And then Dan and I would listen to them. That's how I learned about a bunch of bad goth music and industrial music.
The best
I like
kind.
it.
That
It's a
which
fun
will
way to
never
experience
die.
music.
What does he say? When I smelled you more than I could see you.
Yes, I smelled you more than I could see you.
Does fear smell like a witch?
Yeah. Yes, does fear smell like a witch?
Hold on, I'm gonna look up the lyrics for chat. Hold on.
I'm gonna play it.
It's a classic. You should.
Yeah, come on. He has a song called Demons Are Black. Oh no, Demons Are Back.
Come on, Dave. It's not the kind of mistake you're gonna make on here.
What? He would have a song called Demons Are Black.
He
Not
would,
in the
that's true.
raceway. He
It's been-
he has a ton of songs. Parasite God.
Here's the lyrics. It's been 10 long years since I smelled the witch. I don't think she will ever go away. Do you think that's her lurking over there? Is that the shadow that's been cast by me?
I'm playing it right now.
Does she hide in that old corner over there? Are you dead when you're made of straw?
Wait, I'm blasting it.
Oh, it's so good.
Man, this song's terrible. Hell yeah.
Dum, 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 dum. Is this how beer smells? It smells like a witch.
The album's called The Smell of Rain.
There you
If
go.
anybody out there wants to pick it up.
But the single's not called The Smell of Rain. It's called Can You Smell a Witch?
Lots of different smells going on.
Oh.
You should see what he looks like. He looks like he stinks too.
He looks like one of the goblins in Legend by Ridley Scott.
Yeah, I got a picture of him up on the screen right now. Look at this guy. This is so stupid.
Are you dead when you were made of straw?
This stinks.
What is Kyle Martin talking about? So I've been sharing that fucking Nathan James song to all my music friends, just saying, hey, found a cool new song with really deep lyrics, and now they all hate me.
Oh, is that the conservative anthem thing? The Richmond, south of Richmond, or north of Richmond?
Somebody asked, why is he an actual goblin?
I'm
a
assuming
goblin
that's what
in
he's
everything.
talking about. I'm
What are
assuming
you
that's what
talking
he's
about?
talking about just because of the memes. I have to look it up, though.
What are we talking about right now?
In
Kyle Martin
chat.
said that he's been sharing a song with all his music friends saying, hey, I found a cool new song with really deep lyrics, and it's from Nathan James.
That's the Richmond, north of Richmond guy, right? Or am I thinking of the wrong thing?
Is it
You're saying words that don't mean anything to me right now.
Richmond, north of
don't-
Richmond? Is he the guy with the red beard? Is that
Yeah,
who you're talking about?
yeah.
Yeah,
the one
he
that
like got
everyone-
like super popular overnight.
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
I have to look it up to make sure I know what I'm talking about real quick.
Yeah, people were like,
Oh wait,
trashing
no,
it.
no. Nathan James is the guy we talked about last week, who's like, "I'm the big bad wolf knocking at your fucking door." It's that guy.
Oh,
Oh, that's
Hell
right.
yeah!
we
Even
already
better.
forgot.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about something topical in the chat. I didn't realize you were referencing the greatest song of all time.
Yeah.
It is tough
My
to
bad.
us, right? I
Oh
remember.
man,
Sorry, I blocked it out.
Jeffrey to
good,
meet
dude.
ya, Dahmer to eat ya. The
You gotta get
greatest
Dahmer.
lyric.
nasty. Wait, you gotta say Jeffrey to meet you and then get twisted when you say Dahmer to eat. Can you do that?
I can, but I'm not gonna.
Did I do it good? Did
I
you hear
gotta
me?
save that.
Save
You
it
did
for
pretty
what?
good, yeah.
I already got
Hampshire.
married.
Out in the woods. woods. I already got married. Oh my god.
Did you hear how good it was? Did you hear how good I did it?
Kim did it great.
It's pretty good. You got to work on it. This is going to be a fight we're going to have later.
It's pretty good.
It's gonna be. You need to do more of this. Not. That's what the
You
fight's
need more
gonna be.
phlegm.
Right?
You need more phlegm in your throat when you say Dahmer to eat you.
Have you even listened to it?
You need to feel like you're salivating about the cannibalism.
Do you even like Nathan James?
I worship him. Actually, guess what?
Wow.
I'm almost positive, Dan. I'm telling Dan because you were there when I discovered this. I'm almost positive that he went to school with one of my friends.
Yeah, you mentioned that. You have like all these connections.
I
to
didn't.
James.
Yes, isn't that weird?
He could have
I
been
went
the
to his page
craziest.
and I was like,
Wait, can I just point out something that's just fucking crazy right now that I hate?
Sure.
The one who's the least big fan of Nathan James is the one who has the most connections to him. So just
well,
Come on.
a little ridiculous.
that's not true.
Could have played your wedding.
I got a Nathan
Get your
James
shit-
tattoo.
You get your
Yeah.
shit together.
I'm silver right now, you guys. You don't even fucking know. You can't see me, but I'm silver. My whole
You're
body.
not. You're not
The
silver.
silver tattoo.
You're not silver.
One color on your whole body.
My
Shut
teeth, my eyes, my hair.
You just Nickelback front and center.
Redo your wedding. Get him to play. Get him to headline the wedding. Let's do it.
I know. I'd fucking love that. So
I'm
yeah,
walking down the aisle, and it just switches to that.
Bitch.
we talked about it. How all those that you can tell those people are like trust fund people. After the stream, we did a bit of research on him, and his father was a teacher of philosophy at a fancy college. His
At
mother was
Colorado
also
State University in Fort Collins.
Yep.
An art
and-
teacher. His mother was an art teacher.
yeah.
So basically, we.
That's why he's so
absolutely
artistic.
nailed it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why he's so artistic.
Yeah. Well, he's able to conjure such cultural imagery with his lyricism.
It's fucking
That's why he has
psychotic,
beautiful,
dude.
great teeth.
That stuff drives me nuts. How some people are just completely unhinged.
It
I
drives
wish
you
I
nuts
could do that. Yeah.
in a sexual way.
No, and like I want to paint my body gold or something and get
Okay.
crazy.
Can you imagine back in like 2004 seeing House of a Thousand Corpses and being like, that's what I'm going to do with my life? That's my path right there. I'm just going to be that.
I have family that did that.
That's true.
You
That
know,
is true.
we're really gonna have to keep that song away from our kids because they request on a day-to-day basis. They request Super Beast and what's the other one?
Dragula.
Dragula.
Living Dead Girl.
No, they haven't crossed that bridge.
More human than human.
Yeah. So
Right now, it's just
we'll have to keep that one
Dragula
away.
and Super Beast. But
Yeah.
if you
But
put
we're also
Nathan
teaching them
James
manners,
in the
so-
same breath,
I'm not
Man.
saying.
so
It's a
disrespectful
stone's
to the
throw
song.
away. Listen.
Yeah,
Have you
stone's
ever
throw
heard a
for
2-year-old
Hercules.
say? Have you ever heard a 2-year-old say, "Mama, can I listen to Super Beast, please?
Amazing.
Can I listen to Dragula, please?"
Amazing.
Yeah,
Hope they listen to Dragula while they beat the shit out of me wearing the Kamen Rider costumes I got them.
EJ Fudd says, if you're lucky, your kids will be the next Nathan James together.
Just two silver boys. Just two silver boys talking about eating people.
Yeah.
They'll just paint themselves gold instead. Like gold boys.
Question for Kim. When Dave was working 12 to 16-hour days, how did he continue to be a good partner while you were juggling that workload? I want a family someday, so this would be good to know.
There was a lot of understanding that it was like it wasn't always like that. So when he had those really long days, it was hard. And we'd have like moments where I'm like, I need attention, but it was a little bit different than that. I would like cry about it,
There you go.
and I'd be like, I really miss you, and I miss hanging out with you, and I hate this. I feel lonely. Like,
But if you're curious how to deal with that, you just shout at them. When a girl, like your wife or something's crying,
if
you
you
just
want to
go,
hear the real,
"Do you like this life? Do you like it?"
yeah. Yeah, and then I just stop. I suck my tears back into my eyes.
Wow.
And I just, yeah, all right. I guess. I guess this is all.
There was a while you were both going pretty hard at the same time. You were working like crazy, and Dave was working like crazy too.
Yeah, I mean, also he was with me through nursing school. I was like hardly ever home. I was at clinicals all the time, and I was studying all the time, and then I was also working on top of that until my like last semester of nursing school. So it was like, I mean, you just make the most of the time that you have together. It is hard. That's the thing. Communication is like the best, like not being afraid to be received in the way of like being vulnerable. So like very much, I would just tell him how I was feeling. And sometimes I would know that it's irrational, and sometimes it's just really what I was feeling. And I think just talking about it and having a partner who you could talk to openly and candidly, and sometimes just be heard. Like, this is the thing. I would say, this is how I'm feeling. And really, it's not like Dave could be like, okay, I don't have deadlines anymore. Like, it didn't just go away. But it was more about just not holding it inside and being able to talk to him about it.
Well,
and then finding ways that we can like make the most of the time we had together. Like if it was me just hanging out in his office, or
we also would
him,
like talk about both sides of it, of like, yeah, neither of us are crazy about this, and like it was more of like us kind of coming together to like talk about it, be like, yeah, like look how much this stinks right now.
Well, it was hard. Like in all honesty, I think that Dave and I have faced a lot of hardships through our relationship. We've been together for 10 years now and married for 7. And I feel like the way we feel about each other is kind of like a proof of how like hard we've worked on our relationship as well. It's just a lot. It is a lot of work. Like it's a constant thing. Like you have to be present in not just work, but like in your relationship, and you have to be able to talk to them. And I don't know what else. I mean, you also have to find that balance of like not depending. Like I'm speaking from my point of view because I'm a girl. Maybe it's more of a girl thing. I don't know, but I had a lot of like learning and growing to do as an individual because I depended on Dave a lot for like my source of entertainment. I could stay busy and I could always do chores and stuff, but I didn't know how to like just hang out by myself. And so like whenever Dave was working, I would like find things to do to be productive. So I was like constantly cooking, constantly cleaning and like doing laundry and finding projects to do and stuff. Like I didn't know how to just hang out by myself. So that also kind of helped, was like I stayed busy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I will say, tangentially, 90% of the fights that people have from one partner working too much, if you're working at home as a freelancer, you can avoid, which is a good thing. So if you do find yourself having fights, 99% of the time it's going to be communication issues, because typically when people fight about that stuff, it's because one person's going to work and coming home late, and it's, why aren't you texting me? What were you doing? Did you go out drinking with your friends after? Who are you talking to at work? Was it that person who I think you have a crush on? XYZ, all these things. because there's a void of distance between the job and the home, and the other person can plug in all these insecurities or whatever's going on. There's a whole bunch of unknowns.
That's like a whole different type
I know,
of relationship.
it's a whole different kind of thing.
Issues.
But I'm saying
when I was going into work, it's not
home.
like we had those issues.
What I'm saying is, though, I'm not saying you guys have that kind of relationship. I'm saying when you work at home, if you're having fights, it's probably communication, because there's no excuse for the other person to have any kind of like, you're there all day doing your thing. Like,
but it's communication and receiving too, because yes, you can talk about it until you're blue in the face, but you know, if I come with a problem to Dave, we're very much a team. It's not like, hey, I have this problem, you fix it. It's like, well, what would you like me to do? And then he actually works on whatever that issue may be. And the same with me. Like, hey, I don't like when you do this thing. I'm like, okay, I will do my best to not do it or not ever do it again, you know?
Yeah.
And be conscious of those things. Like we're also receiving the communication. It's not just like talking about it. It's not like, hey, I didn't like when you did that. And it's like, cool, I said it, so now we're good, right? And I can just keep doing it, you know?
Let me say in general, just a couple of key things here. Don't put work before family stuff. Like that's really like the biggest thing, is even though you may have a million things to do, there's that idea that work expands to fill the time allotted. And that works for more than just deadlines. Like that's everything. So you might think that you don't have the time to do stuff with your whoever, partner, family, whatever it is. It's, or, you know, just extended friends and things. It's like, but if you make time for people, you will find that extra time that you may have spent playing games or looking at your phone or doing whatever, and you will use that to get work done. And so, like, for me, a big thing was I decided that no matter what was happening, I always took weekends off. It's like that, you know, helped a ton. And that I always stop at a certain time of night, even if it means like, yeah, I do have to go back to work after a certain point in the night. I do stop for like a few hours to just like hang out and reconnect and all that. But if you're the kind of person that's like very much your own thing matters the most, like you have to get out of that headspace, because it's very egocentric. You have to think of other people and think like, yes, this matters a ton to me right now, but if I value the person that I'm with, what matters to them? And I have to take that at equal importance and be like, okay, this requires that same dedication and attention, but in a different way. It's like, yeah, it's not work related, it's not money related, it's not whatever. It's like, but do it anyway and you'll figure it out. Like, but I think that that's honestly, like, that's probably the best advice I could give, is get out of your own head. If you're the kind of person that thinks like, oh, what I'm doing is very important and like money above everything and like all this shit, like even if it's a struggle, you know, like you're always going to go through periods of time where it's hard and you need to work more than you'd like or whatever, but you still need to set aside time for people you care about, like regardless if it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, whatever. It's just friends, just family. Like that has to be something that you take into consideration when you work and schedule your time.
If you're ever in an argument and you hear yourself start to say the words, I'm an artist, pack up everything you have and go on your Bruce Wayne journey to the east to unlearn everything about your whole existence.
Yeah, don't think that you're important, really, is like the main thing. It's like, don't think that like everything you do is so important and like it carries more weight than what other people do. Yeah, it's like, because it does not. And if that's the way you think, then it'll be very hard to find anybody who isn't just like a pushover.
I think this is the other thing. We've gone back and forth. Like, we have a really good team mentality, like very, very equal in terms of like, we're doing this for our family as a unit. Like before we had kids even, we were very much like, it's fine, like I'll eat shit for a little bit if that means that you're gonna rest or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Like, if you have this deadline, then I will do everything that I can to make your life easier. If I had a test that was coming up or whatever, if I hadn't it's like, like there are things that we would compromise with each other in that way, where we would be like I will eat shit so that you can thrive, and we lifted each other up a lot. And so, I mean, I understood the bigger picture. I was also going through a very different thing, like where I was dealing with a lot of postpartum stuff, and while a lot of these deadlines were happening, it was like one of the craziest times in our life, quite honestly. It was very difficult, and it was not easy, but I would not have done this if it weren't for like how strong Dave is getting through all this stuff and having the support that I got from him, and him understanding that balance.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the biggest thing.
It comes with a lot of things. It's like once you have kids, you get a different level of like patience for everything. It's like, so you have to like slow down and consider everybody all the time. Like you also start to realize like what a human being is when you see kids, and like what it requires, attention to be considered like a true relationship that goes both ways. Like, like kids aren't self-sufficient. You can't just be like, do your own thing. I'm doing this, do that. It's like you can't think like that. And I feel like you just start doing that anyway. You start thinking that way, and then you think that way about everybody.
Yeah. We actually just talked about this recently, where we've been very fortunate in the way we think and the way we just kind of live our lives, because Dave and I are very similar in our morals and like our outlook in life. And so we've never really had to sit down and have discussions about how are we going to do this with our kid, kind of thing. Like those real serious, real heavy topics. We kind of just are always on the same page. We just kind of like, okay, this is what we're doing, and we agree with, I would say 99.9% of everything. We're like all on the same page with that, without having we are very fortunate to have this, because I see parents not having this type of communication, and it's just it comes really natural. Where like there's like small things that they don't even agree on, or like I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Like it is, but it's just because it comes so naturally to us to be on the same page with things, not just parenting, but like the idea of what should be, or like how life should be, or how things should be, how we should be raising our kids, whatever it may, whatever the topic is. We're pretty much always like kind of in the same stride with each other,
The change in chat says, recently broke up with my girlfriend because she lost feelings for me because I started to focus more on art and having a future, but she misses me and I miss her. It's tough. Yeah, that's rough. I mean, you can have both. Not, we don't know your situation. Maybe not this person, maybe this person in the future. We don't know, but you can have both. It's tough to balance, but you can do it.
Yeah, there's also that weird period of time that like I've talked about a bunch, and Dan's talked about, with like doing the like freelance road, where there's like a period where I am under no illusion that there's like a strange time that you have to go through that's extra difficult, that you sacrifice a lot for, because
that's still
if
on
you
YouTube,
want to
right?
be, I mean, but it's something we talked about on stream a bunch, and just in general, it's like that type of thing. It's like, it's very real, you can't have everything. Like you can, like some version of the life you want comes, and honestly I feel like that's what I have now. But like for the longest time, like when I was struggling and I just felt like I was constantly clawing my way out of a pit, it's like that period of time, it's like so hard to devote yourself to your craft, get to a meaningful place, and then also have a rounded life. Like I don't know how you do that. It's very, like, I'm sure it's possible, but it's very difficult.
I don't know if it's on Dave's channel or my channel, but if you want to listen to it, I think it was 11 years ago. It was before Dave met Kim. Dave had just gotten out of a bad breakup. I was at the lowest point in my career and my personal life at the time. And we had a really long, candid conversation very late at night. and it was on livestream.com, and we just uploaded the VOD. It's called Freelance Talks Getting Through the Middle. And I think it's on my channel. It might be on Dave's. I'm not sure. But
It's not
that's
on mine.
like,
It's probably you.
it's probably on my channel, which I haven't updated in forever. But that's literally just like a snapshot of Dave at a very low personal life point, but a good freelance point, and me at a very good freelance point, but an extremely bad, like, personal. It was weird. I was working like 6 jobs at the time. I was basically killing myself with freelance. That was like the one time where I was like, okay, I'm working this job and doing an RPG thing and doing 2 Kickstarters. Like, we hadn't done the Steve books yet. We were both still doing very traditional freelance stuff. Dave was just starting to dip his toes into movie stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really long, really raw talk, because that was a bad time. But
I can speak to some stuff. I had this conversation recently with a coworker. The game job I'm working on, we were talking about like points that you're at with your career and how to kind of get through them. And one of the ones that we were discussing was just kind of the levels that you go through. Like back then, there were a few basically like gaping holes in my life that I was trying to fill with stuff, trying to figure out what to do. I was like, so many missing pieces. And I was like, it's that thing of like, I thought I was moving closer to a goal, but now I don't know where I am anymore. Like you feel a little bit adrift. And I'm in like, I'm in a wholly different version of that at this very moment. And it's not like a negative one in terms of any personal relationships, family stuff, like nothing like that. But I was discussing this thing of like, you go through so many versions of these weird blocks where you're like, who am I again? Like I have to reorient myself because I've lost track. Like I was talking about it with the coworker, because he was talking about how like he's not sure what he's doing with his career at the moment. And he has like so many ideas of things he wants to do. And there's that idea that like you're either taking jobs and stuff that moves you closer to your goal or further away. And if it's moving you closer to this end goal, then that's a good thing. But you can get to a point, which is a point where I feel I'm at right now, where there's so many great opportunities, but the great opportunities, they almost become the new procrastination. And it's like, I could take them on forever because they're quote unquote safe. It's like, these are things that are safe. It's like you get into, you can fall into a trap, specifically like as a parent, I feel this, where you're just trying to provide a safety net for everybody, right? It's like you're trying to create normalcy and just consistency, always having these backup jobs and things, like everything to create this nice life for, you know, it's like, it's for you and it's also for everybody. So it's like a shared thing versus what's good for you directly. Like, what's the thing that in the short term might take you out of that comfort into a risk area, but in the long term pay off more than any of that consistency would. And I feel like I'm there right now, where like Dan and I need to do Steve 3. We need to do like our other books. We need to do so much stuff. And like, there's so many things that even like personally I'd like to do that isn't the books with Dan. It's like, but there's just all of these great things are kind of coming towards us now. And like Dan and I
yeah, I was just gonna say, you say it.
Yeah, we got offered
Nowhere.
like a major network like writing thing, and like something that you'd be like shocked by, just because like Dan and I were like, oh, that's cool.
I was like,
but it's
what?
like a big development like opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's not that like that hasn't happened with like our other stuff, like, you know, we talked about doing the TV show thing.
Yeah.
But it's this thing of like it seems like something you should never pass up, right? But then how many times are you going to stop doing the thing that you know you should be doing in lieu of some opportunity that seems like I'd be stupid not to take this? It's like, but
Right.
then you're going to feel that way about everything. Oh, I'd be stupid not to do this too. And then you're going to be 50 and you're going to be like, what about all those things I said I
Where
would
did
do?
Right.
yeah.
Like, I didn't do any of them. And I was looking back. I bring this up because I went back in time through my like emails because we were talking about it at the game job, and I was like, I actually have a great example of this from a long time ago. So about 14 years ago, I talked to this fantasy artist via email, and he was 54 at the time, and big name fantasy artist. And I was asking for advice, and I was just getting my career started. I think I was 22, and things were finally like working out a little bit, and I was very optimistic. And I had been talking to him about like my hopes and dreams and like what I wanted to do and like asking his advice and all this stuff. And he started to get very honest with me through this email thread. And he had this whole breakdown about like his kids being in college, like not having enough money set aside, that he's never going to retire. He's never going to be able to stop doing what he's doing, that he had all of these projects he wanted to do and that time just got away from him. And like all of this stuff. And I remember being like young at that time and looking up to this person and thinking like, well, that's crazy. Like you have everything. Like you have everything I'd ever want in a career. You're like a known name. You have all of this amazing paintings and things. Like, but you feel this way. Like it felt strange to me. And when I read that, I remember back then thinking like, I'm never going to end up that guy. I'm never going to be that. And I made a conscious choice to just, I didn't really know what that meant as far as not becoming that person, but I made a conscious choice to tell myself like, do a lot of different things. Don't just do one thing. Don't just be like this singular person who's only a fantasy artist. Like try all this stuff. So I did everything. Like I did like toy design and clothes and products and comic books and video games, card games. Like I've worked on everything that you can work on, like animation, writing. Like I've done it. But none of that stuff, or at least not the majority of it, is mine. And I've realized over time that like I'm just becoming that guy. I won't be in the same financial situation, I don't think. But if I'm not careful, I'm going to end up in that same exact predicament where I kept taking opportunities that felt like they aligned with who I saw myself being as that artist, but were ultimately not me. And like so many good things after a certain point become the safe blanket that you put on to not try anything risky,
Yeah.
disguised as these gold opportunities. So it's like
It's the job
being
security
careful.
of an office job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
like
same
it's
type
pretty it's pretty nuts. So like you really have to be careful of that. And I really have to reorient where I am and get back to kind of the focus of what my life is and who do I
what you're
want to
trying
be.
accomplish.
Like am I trying to do anything for me? Like will I look back at this and think like I made the right decisions, even if like what am I doing? Like am I here just to do pop art and whatever, or is it more important to do something that's wholly me? And like it's dangerous because like I said, there's the money path and then there's the not so much money path but then more money path. Because really it's like they said it in that Procreate address. He said that Walt Disney quote of he doesn't make money, or he doesn't make movies to make money, he makes money to make movies.
Right.
And I have to get back to that of like, it's not about just making money from the artwork, which is, you know, if I'm being honest, that's all I've been doing for the past like 3-4 years.
I think
And
we've
I
passed
got to get back.
this horizon of getting a house,
Yeah.
and there's now, not that this wasn't dawning on you before, but there is so much more clarity. It's like, oh, okay, we're
Mhm.
here.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to keep killing myself to save for a down payment and to save for this goal. We've crossed that line, which is crazy because it came sooner than I think most people anticipated. But I also think that, like, because it's here, it almost feels surreal because we've been living in this. We've made ourselves comfortable with how uncomfortable we were, just killing ourselves in these like soulless jobs just to get money, just to be where we are now.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, you got to get off
And-
of, like, you got to remember to stop. You have to remember that, like,
Mhm.
like just because you've been pushing a wheel for 3 years, like you finally beat it, like you're done. Like now stop pushing it. Like don't just be
I was
content.
like, how do you get off this hamster wheel that's just running? It's just going full speed. Like, how do I stop it? You kind of have to put everything at like a screeching halt. But we've also talked about me going back to work and finding at least somewhat of a sufficient job so that I can help fund the work, fund the art.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because it's not even so much that, like, it's the reality of what I'm talking about with like me and Dan doing Steve Lichmann. It's like we could say like that's not that much money, but we're still making money off the Steve books. Like 8 years later from the first one.
Still making, and then plus all the TV money, and then all the, you know, all the side stuff and all the other things that attach to it.
Yeah.
But
That's where we need to be.
But
and if you can do that with a couple other IPs, if you can have a few things that are in development, even if they never go to air, then that's a lot of passive income. That's a full salary basically.
right. But then
You
it's
know?
my point
And it's
really
something
is
that you
just
actually
that
enjoy.
it's not a risk.
It's your idea.
Yeah.
That's-
It's a different path, but it ends up being a relatively safe, but it's a different way to get there. But yeah. The real Bruce, not VT, says, I was about to ask, how fun and enjoyable was Steve Lichmann? It's how I originally found you guys like 12, 13 years ago. Yeah. It wasn't that long ago, but it was a while ago. How fun it was the most fun. It's still the most fun thing that we do. I mean, it's like that's the most fun on every level. It's like to write the stuff, it's just me and Dave trying to make each other laugh harder, and whoever has the funniest joke is the one that goes in the book and the script. And then it's drawing and doing what we love, making art, to actually make the physical book. And then it's making the physical book, which we're both antique book collectors and we love the art form of, you know, bookmaking and like working with a printer and like doing all the gold foil and making this like, you know, cloth bound high quality thing. And then it's, you know, it's just every step of the process of doing those books was just great. Like that was still to this day the thing I've enjoyed working on the most out of anything. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I mean that's really the next major thing, is getting back into seriously doing personal projects. Like now that we're settled into a home, like Kim and I are about to go on vacation with the kids for a few weeks. You know, we're gonna keep doing streams, but like we're gonna be traveling a bit, and then when we get back, I have to maintain some semblance of income, but outside of that, I'm not going to be chasing jobs like I was. Like I was working on a shitload of stuff.
It was so hard for me to keep, you know, this is normally I'm very, very good at keeping up with all of your jobs, and you, like, I could not keep up with it. I could not keep up with how many jobs you were doing. I'd be like, what? Which one is that again? Like, what are you doing for them?
Yeah, there was a lot. Dave's get a house grind was. I've been here for all the Dave's arcs ever since the beginning. I've seen all of his, like, you know, Goku fights Frieza, then he fights, you know, Cell, then he fights Boo. I've been here for all the arcs. That was one of Dave's craziest grinds I've ever seen. I was like, oh, he's in the hyperbolic time chamber, and he's fusioning, and he's doing the spirit bomb, and he's doing the Koku Ken, whatever the fuck. He's doing all of them. And that was a rough one, but you're at the tail end of it now somehow, which is fucking crazy.
So you're telling me we have 2 kids.
I know.
It's not like Dave wasn't present, but I was quite literally handling everything else because there was not a drop of daylight wasted. He had not a drop of daylight to do any of the other things.
You guys have been going hard.
Literally doing
4
everything
years.
else.
Yeah, the 2 of you have been going hard for like 4 years, but especially the past year and a half has been like just like crazy.
I would say the last, definitely since you started this game job, so what, 2.5 years?
Yeah.
The last 2.5 years have been just monumental as far as like the actual amount of work and change and lifestyle. It's just like everything that we've had to adapt.
Yeah.
And our kids are happy and we're happy and we're all healthy, so you know, it worked out for us. But it's not for like the faint of heart. Like it was brutal.
No,
It was really hard.
I mean, that's like, if I have any pride in anything, it's that I do feel like I've met a couple people that I would say this about that do work super hard, but I do feel like nobody would want to do what I do as far as like taking on work goes and like the sheer amount of pressure you take on from like high profile
Nobody would
people.
choose to do that.
But I felt
Not
good
a lot
about
of
that
people
like I
are-
could do it.
Not a lot of people are built for it either. Like ever since Dave was a kid, he's been abnormally good at taking on huge amounts of external pressure and not having a lot of the negative effects most people suffer from that. Like the advice Dave used to give people way back in the day on the art forums, just like, oh, if you need to get motivated to do art, just put yourself into a ton of credit card debt. Then you have to work hard. And it's like, okay, that works for you. Let's calm the fuck down. That doesn't work for 90% of people. It's literally going to end their life, dude. But like, yeah, he's always been weirdly good at compartmentalizing stress in a way that, you know, I'm saying you can do it, but maybe don't use the same methods. You can do it, but like, you know.
See, this is the thing, like in that same game, like Dave and I have very similar work ethic. Like I would work as much as he was working, just doing other things, right? And not making money.
Yeah, like I said, I like that. Like that's one of my favorite. Like I know that it's not healthy, but whenever Kim's like running as fast as me in the same respect, I just like, you know, gives me pride. Where I'm like, yeah, there you go. Like we're both doing it. Like we're doing it together. Like yes.
Yeah.
Like we're both
killing
Goku.
ourselves. Except for I'm just more emotional about it. Like I'll still do the fucking work. I will still do the work, but I'm probably gonna bitch about it, and Dave will never do that, and I'll probably cry a little bit too, but I'll still do all of the work and some. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Dave and I's like work ethic it's not a competition, but it's definitely like, oh, I don't want to let them struggle like by themselves. Like I guess I have to kill myself too. It's not super healthy for a lot of people, but it's also just kind of how both of us were coming into the relationship. So
I don't think the three of us have ever missed a deadline if we set a deadline for something. I'm just trying to think of one.
No, I had too much guilt.
Yeah.
too much pride.
Even doing the Steve books, like we all had shit we had to do. And it's like there was a lot, but like I don't think any of us have ever like blubbed a thing. It's like even when they were like, you know, 18-19 hour days at some points, but like yeah, I don't know, it's a lot. But
there's had a question here that was good. Eric was saying, knowing what you've gone through and what you've learned, how would you advise artists that are earlier in their careers? What went well and what would you have done differently? What went well, I'll say that first because that's easier. What went well was that I developed like a really good discipline. Like that's probably the strength, is just having discipline, which I don't really take from art. I take that from everything else. It's like I've always had a work ethic for doing certain things, like skateboarding and all that. Like, I had so many other things that I did that I was very dedicated to. And I think I learned that discipline through those and then applied it to art and then just got way more serious because art was something like I'm a very like, if a sport is solo, like, and I can have unlimited time to practice it, you know, like skateboarding, something you can do in your driveway. It's like, or like I was thinking about this the other day, like just having a dartboard and darts, like it's just something like that. And you just have to learn it now on your own. You don't have to like pay to go anywhere or do nothing special. It's like that kind of solo stuff. Like I love, and that's the same thing with art. It's like, I didn't need to do anything like the price for entry was low. It's like, it's just, what time are you putting into this? You can get great. And I love that. So I could kind of game it. Yeah.
I think that you and I both have this. You have this way more than I do, but I think we both have a little bit of this. I want to preface with that because I don't think it's a bad thing, but there's a little bit of arrogance. There's quite a bit of arrogance of like, oh, you're going to tell me that I can't do this. I'll show you that I can do it. And I might kill myself getting there, but like, I will fucking do it and I'll figure out how to do it on my own. Because there was not a lot of traditional paths that you took. Like putting yourselves into credit card debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
But I think that the discipline was good. And I think that doing it on my own, learning, you know, just kind of jumping in the fire with stuff of like, just do all of it. Do the taxes, like figure out how to negotiate, like just all the things that you go through day to day working as a freelancer. Never taking, here's a good one, never taking a full-time position anywhere, like a studio position. That I would, yes, like 110%, no matter how hard life was and no matter how tempting that idea was, never doing that, even when stuff was brutal. And that felt like a lifeline. Just sticking to my guns, like that was enough. Like that helped me so much. It helped me just in my longevity. It helped me just sustain relationships and constantly get better because I'm always trying to compete with the world. Like that felt good. And I think that that's one of the best decisions I ever made, was not taking on any kind of like external position.
Let me tell you, that was actually very confusing for me when I first met you. It was like, why wouldn't you? Like, I had the wrong idea of what that meant. I'm like, you're definitely good enough to have a full-time position somewhere, but I didn't realize that you're better than that. Like, I didn't understand it yet. When I met you, I was like, you know, a lot of people around you, this is a very unique position to be in as like a freelance artist who's actually succeeding. And so if that's something that you want to get into, I feel like you'll have a lot of doubt from people around you. Because even as supportive as I was like, I don't like seeing you struggle. Like, wouldn't you rather be, like, have the comfort of knowing that you'll have a steady paycheck? And that is the wrong idea to have. And it took me a little bit to understand that.
For most people,
to understand the big picture.
Yeah, for most people, it's not even the paycheck; it's the health insurance.
I see that.
Yeah, for most people, they're not even going for the studio gig for the paycheck. It's the benefits, which is, you know, we've known people that grew up in the United States, good friends of ours, that had to move to other countries just to do freelance full time because they needed the healthcare. Like, you know, established industry pros that just couldn't do it in the U.S. anymore because they had to find a way to get healthcare.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fucking wild.
I mean, my main thing was that if I'm working, like there was a, you know, I've said it before, but bears repeating. I know it's cliche, but there's this like book when I was 19 that I read. It was the 4-Hour Work Week, and I just felt like it was super motivating. It's not really like a get rich quick, forget everything and change your life to go, you know, work from home and never have a job again. Like that wasn't, like that's kind of the title feels that way, but the reality of the book isn't that way. So I really liked the stuff that they said in there, and one of them was, it was basically the essence of it was, if you're not working on difficult problems, then you're not working on the right problems. And it's like, if your life is easy, then that's not the way to be. Like, always chase the difficult thing. Like, if you're always going after that uncomfortable thing, then you're always improving. And I felt like that was so true back then, that's all I chased. That's why I never took another job, because I was like, I bet if I just keep doing hard, difficult, whatever, uncomfortable things, I'm only going to get better. And just keeping that in mind and being like, yes, even though this is really difficult and confusing and I don't really know what I'm doing, that's right. Like, that's actually correct, because I'm using my brain. Like, I'm actually getting through this and figuring out a new way to do something, or figuring out like a major blind spot that I have that I need to figure out. And that uncomfortability is not negative. That uncomfortable feeling is actually positive, because like I need to figure it out. It's like, and then when I figure it out, it becomes familiar territory. Like, without doing that, I would not have done Steve with Dan. Like, there's no reason why we should think that we could self-publish a book and have it be successful. Like, what's the basis for that? Why? Like, what proof is there that we can do that? So it's like, but who gives a shit? We'll figure it out. It's going to be hard, but so hasn't everything else. It's like, everything's been hard. So who cares? Like, this is just another hard thing. And like, keeping that mindset throughout has been super helpful.
And also, there were way easier ways that we could have done that book that would have been way cheaper and way less of a nice product, and we didn't do any of those. We're like, if we're going to do a book, we're going to do the hardest to do, best quality thing we can do. Yes. And it's going to be a learning curve, and when we're done, we're going to be proud of it. And it's either going to be awesome or it's going to fucking kill us. But here we go.
Yeah, and like that... Go ahead. You there, Kim?
Amazon sent them all to a shoe factory.
Oh, your thing cut off that you said?
Oh, I just said it was great. The book came out great.
Yeah, I felt super good about it. But I think it's like...
I'm very proud of you guys.
That's another thing that I would take away as like a positive. Is like, if you change your mindset to think like, if you're working on hard things that make you feel uncomfortable, that's actually a good thing. Like, if you can convince yourself that that's the way to go, then that helps a lot, because then you never really like look at a negative situation and go like, oh, this, I gotta get out of this.
You almost have to turn yourself into like a little bit of a thrill seeker. That's very much, from like an outside perspective, that's very much how Dave appeared to me. Like, a little bit. It's funny because he's very in control of everything that's going on, you know? But I feel like without understanding it and just seeing it from the outside, it feels like a little thrill seeker.
Yeah.
Like, you want it to be hard.
Yeah, like, you're making it hard, but everything that you did had like a rhyme and a reason and a purpose, and it's gotten us to where we are now. And I mean, I learned a long time ago to trust you, a long, long time ago. This is not like something that's new, but it was like, I mean, it even motivated me to do what I did, because I wasn't in nursing school when we met, and that wasn't even my trajectory.
Yeah,
but then
you had like an interest
on my own, and I was like, oh, I could do this. I don't need somebody to tell me how to do this. I could just figure it out. Like, you motivated me, but you didn't enroll me in classes or figure out what I needed to do to become a nurse. I did that, you know?
Yeah.
Just seeing that it's possible, I think is very important for people to understand. Like, all you have to know is that it's possible. Yeah. And I think if you don't doubt yourself and you're like, no, like, this can be done, I've seen it done, then I feel like that's a big boost in like you being able to accomplish hard things.
You also have to be like realistic too. Like, if you have any self-esteem, or if you feel if you have any semblance of like confidence, it's like if you're going into like so many people from the Patreon and just from the streams, they've talked about like they want to do comics. That's been like a major thing. And I always tell people, and this is another conversation I had with the dude from work, where I was like, just like forget Watchmen, like forget good comics. Don't read good comics. Go and pick up fucking trash. Like go pick up like a regular throwaway comic that just is on the shelf and read it. Like actually just like sit down and read it. Like it's not good. Like almost like 9 times out of 10, like a good comic is so rare. If you're even a little bit good at writing, or even have like the passing interest to improve at writing, and your first go of it isn't very good, doesn't matter. You've gotten a little bit closer, you've learned a little bit more, and the next time will be better. But even that being said, it's like your first go is probably, you know, it's not even that bad. It's like if you compare it to every other comic that exists, it's like the bar for comics is so low that like you don't, and that's for everything. The bar for movies is so low. The bar for books is low, like everything. It's like you think because these things come out and they look official and they're printed and they're real, that this is something like incredible. But then you have things like we just talked about before about how you said like, oh, Dan and I were getting brought on to some like major TV thing. It's like, what proof does that company have that Dan and I are incredible writers or something? It's like we've written 2 books that are silly comics and stuff, but like you don't need Pulitzer Prize winning material to like end up in these places. It's just that nobody does anything. Nobody makes
Nobody
anything.
does the work.
Nobody
does the
finishes something. It's like if you're just doing things and putting it out there and finishing it, that's 90% of it. The other 10% is like, is this great? Like, because if you do strike that gold, that's it. Like that's the thing that's gonna send you flying into like a million opportunities. But you shouldn't even worry. It's like you just start and you make stuff, and over time it's just going to get away from you and become something on its own. And like you might have even thought, like Dan and I thought like our first book was like not the best. We didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
And then we just put it out there because also it's like if you give yourself an impossible deadline, you don't overthink everything that you're doing. You're just like, no, this just has to, like, good, bad, spelling issues, whatever. Who gives a shit?
So many spelling issues.
Yeah, this just needs to come out.
Yeah.
This has to come out. So when it comes out and it's just out in the world, it's done. You can't go fix it, do anything. Can't overthink this, overplan, do all that shit that you might do if you gave yourself all the time in the world. It just exists now. Move on to the next thing. That's done.
You have to show up. You really just have to show up. And also it's very similar to the people who just show up to go sing on X Factor.
Yeah.
Like there are people who are really confident and really suck. But you know what? I don't care that they fucking suck. They got on stage. I could never do that. I do not have the confidence to do that. And so I could never be like, how come I'm not a singer? Or how come I'm not going viral? Or how come I'm not? Because I don't have the fucking guts that these people have to like put themselves out there in that way. And if you do that, that's half the battle. Like if you put your shit out there and you're doing stuff and completing it and you're accomplishing something by doing that, you are accomplishing something.
Yeah, that's the thing of like there's this crazy, I don't know, like complete disconnect that people have where they shit on stuff that comes out, and from the perspective of like, I could do better than that. Like when people do that and then they never do anything, it's like, well, I guess you couldn't. Like, I guess you're worse than that. Like you have to prove it. Like that. I've always felt that way about like opportunities and stuff. Like when I was young, you get into this mindset that's so egotistical sometimes, where you think like, how come I didn't get that job? It's like, well, why would you? Like, what proof do you have that you could do it at all? Like, what have you done that's even close to that? it's like you need to, like, instead of assuming that people know you could do it, don't assume that ever. Do the work, do the stuff that you need to do to be recognized for that. It's like, and if you can make a better comic, a better movie, a better book, whatever, do that. It's like, and even if it's shit, it'll still probably work to some extent. If you believe in it, as long as you believe in it and you're not doing it cynically, it probably works.
I agree.
Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, I don't know. I watched this little show called One Piece recently, and I learned that if you just chase your dreams long enough, you'll find other people chasing their dreams, and then you'll have a crew.
Let me tell you a really simple way. A really simple thought that like somehow just came to me. It's a memory. I was in a corn maze with my cousin, and one of my other cousins was getting scared because they were like, we're lost. Like, we're absolutely lost. And we had a map. And then, and we were just like, we had no idea how to get out of there. And one of my cousins is so positively, like, optimistic, just, and kind of has that, like, it's almost like a dumb confidence. And I don't think she's
Just
a dumb
naive.
person. Yes, it's very, but it fucking works almost every time. She's had such a good, there's so many things that could have gone wrong in her life. And there's lots of, she's gotten out of it by doing this type of behavior. And she would just look at the map and be like, let's just pretend that we're here, and then we'll take the turns to get out. And then we ended up getting out. And that's not where we were on the map, but somehow we got out. And I just feel like if you pretend that you're at a certain level and you're putting yourself out there, like, yeah, like, we're here, and you truly can believe in yourself in that way, you will just rise to the top. You're just gonna be like, oh, I just really believed in myself. It's like the same thing as like the power of positive affirmations, you know?
It's the same
does
thing
that
as
really
me
mean?
having the Midas touch.
Having somebody truly believe in you, tell you that you are wonderful. And you're like, oh, either you're really gonna believe it and, you know, fail, but fine, then you'll see like, oh, I really have to try harder to be up to the standard that this person thinks I am. I imagine that will work for a lot of people.
Chad, when we can tell all of you the cold call we got this week for the job offer to write on this thing we can't talk about, I legitimately just finish one thing and put it out there and just see what happens. Like, I can't even wrap my head around it. It was the most random thing.
And it's not the first time something like that's happened.
No, it's just so funny.
But it just keeps getting like, we made one thing and it just keeps on giving to us.
Yeah.
We just took a chance at making something that we felt like we had no right to make, really.
Yeah. Put one thing out there and just watch it pay itself off endlessly.
Yeah.
Like, man.
But Alex knows what I'm talking about. The cream always rises to the top. You knew what I was referencing.
There you go. I love that.
A little macho man for you guys.
The best way to improve your storytelling in comics is to make comics, and like, it's the same thing with everything, but it's doing the thing first, because you can actively see where your blind spots are, and you become very interested in the craft because you're working on it, you know, like you're actually making a comic, so you're like thinking about it the whole time, like, oh, what is an effective way of doing a shot like this? And then you'll look at like an example or figure something out for yourself and try it, and then be like, oh, that didn't really work, or, you know, but moving on, I still have like 1,000 pages to do, but I'll figure it out next time. And then having that thought be active in your head, like when you get to the next opportunity to address that same problem, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do it differently here, it's gonna work.
What do you think we're in for on Steve 3? I'm gonna guess 350.
Yeah, it's somewhere between the two. It's not as bloated as Steve 2.
No, I'm gonna guess it's 350 pages. That's my guess.
I mean, saying that's not as bloated as Steve 2 than saying we're doing a 350-page comic to most people,
Yeah.
I'm sure sounds just nuts.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be that, and I'm gonna guess it's gonna take 5 to 6 months to do the whole thing.
I'm assuming more. I'm gonna
More,
go out
yeah.
and say
I'm gonna guess with more.
I'm gonna say like 8 or 9.
Because on the one hand you have kids, and on the other hand we're way faster because we've done it twice.
Yeah, writing is
Yeah, but
easier.
Yeah.
But that's not the part that took a long time before.
No.
True.
It was never the thing that took the longest. That was the thing that was the quickest, even though you guys are quicker at writing now.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it's done though. I don't know. Well, I will have a better idea once we actually start dedicating weekdays to it, but a lot of it's done.
Once you guys spend the 2 days that it takes to schedule everything out into
Yeah.
a Excel spreadsheet.
We have
Yeah.
most of that.
Yeah.
Oh,
We just
really?
need to
You
do
guys
the
already
page
started doing
counts.
that?
Yeah.
So all the
Oh, I
chapters,
didn't realize all that was done.
yeah.
all the chapters are laid out. 10 of the chapters are already done. About 12 more chapters have outlines with some dialogue, and the other chapters have blurbs.
Do you mean done as in like drawn and
Done.
No.
filled?
No, they're not.
No.
They're not drawn. The
Written.
scripts are
Oh,
done.
okay. Yeah, I remember that. I knew that.
So yeah, nothing's. Yeah, so that's where we're at.
Yeah, we'll
It's-
see what happens. I feel like with my current process, I'll be able to draw it pretty quick, but we'll see. We'll see how
Knowing
it goes.
Dave, he's gonna do a little pizzazz. He's gonna have a whole painted 2-page spread
Oh yeah,
in the middle of this
inevitable.
350-page book.
We've got a
That's just what
couple.
it is.
We got a couple 2-page spreads in this one. We got a little too many fun ideas that we didn't want to cut. There's a lot in this one.
A lot of cool stuff in this one. A lot of
Felix-
we learned.
Felix, I didn't start streaming. I'm waiting till after I get back from the vacation I'm going on with Dave and Kim. Because once I start doing the daily, I want to keep it consistent. I don't want to start and then take a week off to go see them, and then yeah. So it'll be later this month, but it's still happening.
Soon.
Are we gonna put out a
Yeah.
free comic bundle? Yeah, I think so. I think that's part of
That's-
the plan.
That's the plan. We have a couple plans for that. Like, if we can get the books, like paperback into stores before then that's what we'll do. Like that's the idea, is that like we stop doing international shipping because we want like a major publisher to get the rights of the soft covers so that those can start to go places.
Yeah.
So that we
The
don't
worst-
have to do that anymore.
The worst case scenario is no international shipping because it's too high. The second worst case scenario, slightly better, is we partner with Amazon. It's available internationally, but we take a 30% hit on sales because that's their new policy. They don't do multi-channel anymore. And then the best case scenario is we find a publisher to just take the books off our hands and sell them internationally, and we get a royalty or a percentage. Like, we're hoping for that one, but if not, we can always go the Amazon route if we have enough demand. But
Well,
they-
the thing that we have now that we never had before, we won't use Amazon again. We have a distributor in Florida that can do all
True.
US, and then one in the UK that can
Yeah.
do in the EU, and they have one more distributor in Australia or somewhere around there that can do it. So there's like
Oh, I didn't
3
know they had a
separate
third one.
places. Yeah, so that can handle
Okay,
like
cool.
Asia and just that. You know, Australia is like a semi-big market for us. So hopefully that all works out. But that's the idea, is that we'll already be in places, and then we'll have a multi-channel kind of like shipping people.
It's weird how the Amazon calculus works, because like before a certain threshold it just sucks, because it's like we're taking 30 to 35% of your money flat, non-negotiable. You have to sell it on our site, we'll fulfill it, whatever, we're covering all that costs, and you're going to give us $3 as a service fee per item you sell. That's such a bad deal. But if you have a high enough demand, once you cross that threshold, it's like the best deal, because you have access to everything on the planet, and with like prime shipping, like it's, if you have enough bulk, like if you have a big enough audience, it makes a ton of sense. But if you're anywhere below that mark, it's just the worst deal. But yeah.
I want everyone to know that Dan and Dave had to learn all this stuff. So if all of this is like over anyone's head and it sounds really confusing, or it's like,
Yeah.
how do you know this? Like, they had to do a ton of research,
Yeah.
a ton of
And also
research,
just
and they did not know this.
Yeah,
They
and
did
just
not know
fuck
this
up.
before the book. Yes.
Yeah, and straight just
So-
fuck up.
Yes.
Our
there
first
was mistakes
book.
that were made. There was money that was lost.
Yep.
Lots of money.
Yeah, our first book, Amazon, they fucked up so bad. And that wasn't even like on us. That was just fuck ups that happened on their end, and like we couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you
Plus-
want to have control over stuff, and then you realize that as soon as stuff leaves a print place
Yeah.
and it's just in transit, it's just up in the air.
Here's
It's
a fun
Wild West.
Yeah.
here's a fun thing. If you ship something to Amazon and it doesn't have an identifiable sticker with a specific SKU on the outside that they can scan, not a barcode, a SKU code. Can't be the barcode. It has to be a specific SKU for their system. If that sticker's not on the outside of the box, they have to rip the box off of the item to get eyes on it to make sure it is what it is. That's their
and
policy.
You mean the box that was the shipping box? Then you
Yeah.
had to buy all new shipping
The
boxes?
protective, the
I remember.
15,000, we paid $15,000 for custom bumper boxes with corner protection to protect our hardcover books. 15 grand down the toilet, gone.
Because they all
Because-
ripped them open.
Because
the
we
sticker was wrong.
we put one sticker on, we put both stickers on the book and one sticker on the box, not knowing that Amazon had to have both stickers on the inside and the outside. There's no way to know that till it got there. But then it got there, and nope, the barcode's not enough. We need the barcode and the SKU. They ripped all the boxes off. They shipped all the books
All
without
the-
the boxes. All the books
all
got
the-
damaged.
All the custom boxes.
Hundreds of returns that I had to personally do for people, which I was happy to do because they don't deserve a book that's damaged. I did all those myself. I mailed them out personally. Like, just crazy stuff you learn that there's no other way to learn it than to just go through it.
It's a nightmare.
It's great. It's the best days of my life. I need to feel that alive again.
Yeah, you
I've-
need a little. You
I
need
haven't-
something spicy in your life, huh?
I haven't felt that alive ever since. I've been coasting ever since. I want to feel that uncomfortable again.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
need to
Riley was
some
saying, I still
discomfort.
remember seeing the video of you guys finding the pallet of books in some random rural area. Yeah, it was
Oh,
under
yeah.
a,
Oh, it was in a field with
was-
just a chain link fence
Up
around
by
it.
the airport in fucking
Oh.
Denver. Yeah.
yeah,
And the
under a
Denver
tarp.
airport is not by a city. If anyone
No.
hasn't been here, it's not like by the city.
Looks like
It's
we're
out
Jesse
in like
and,
the plains.
looks like we're Jesse and Walt cook meth and Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Way the fuck out in
Like out in the desert.
nowhere. Yeah. just books, just out there. Just like, okay. Cool.
hmm Covered by a tarp.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited for round 3. I can't wait to see what goes wrong.
Well, the good thing about round 3 is that we've learned so much that now it's just people helping us. And like,
Yeah.
we're paying money for people to do all of that. And we don't have to do it the same way anymore. Like, all the books will go to a warehouse or 3 different warehouses. And then through an automated system online, they will just be sent out. And we don't have to do jack shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's all automated now. So like, all the things that we've learned, we've learned that it's better to take a hit, like a decent hit financially, than to do all of that yourself. Like,
Absolutely.
as much as you think you're saving, you are not.
You're not. The time is
You're
the
gonna have to
time,
pay
and the health is worth more. The sleepless
Then-
nights and the time.
You're gonna have to pay it anyway. So then
Yeah.
you just ended up paying it and also doing the work
Yeah.
because of everything that messed up.
There's still people that message me that are like, I never got my book 6 years ago. And I'm like, okay. There's only one way that could have happened, and it's that you didn't fill out your survey. Did you fill out your
Mhm.
survey? And they're like, no. And I'm
What
like,
survey?
well, let me get your address and send you a book. I'm still doing this, It still happens. It's Amazon's, not Amazon. Kickstarter's not a perfect system, but
Yeah.
you got to do what you got to do.
EJ Fudd said on Steve 3, I hope you guys occasionally do some badass pages or spreads like how DBZ would have those painterly images for effect, especially if they're really silly. I mean, I don't know if you read through the first 2 books, but
Yeah,
they both have that.
we both.
Mhm.
Yeah, the second
And
one almost literally has that.
the third
Dave and I
one
just-
has it hard.
Dave and I
Right.
just, we just obviously just moved. We talked about that, but we found boxes of like some of Volume 1, the first print of Volume
Oh
1.
yeah, tons.
Mhm.
That was in storage, so we may or may not do a convention of some sort and have those available at some
There you
point.
go.
Yeah, in
In
Denver.
Denver.
We're also
Mhm.
gonna
We're not
have,
lugging those like hundreds and hundreds of pounds of books anywhere.
I was just thinking, I was like, oh, because Dan and I both got like batches of books for ourselves.
Mhm.
And I was going to look into just bookstores in the Denver area and just be like, you guys want these? Like, just go to comic shops and be like, hey,
Mhm.
like, you guys want to go in on this and like sell these?
Here Saturday, meet the artist.
Yeah. What's the
6.
playlist? This is just a top 100 songs from the Super Nintendo. Clark Miller says, have you guys thought of streaming your writing process? It would be pretty interesting to see how you guys work through your ideas. We've done like a little bit of that as like examples, but like here's the thing with that. Like, you have to say horrible shit to get to really
Yep.
funny things, and for the amount of things that Dan and I would have to like joke about to get to what's ultimately funny, we would definitely be just we wouldn't be looking so good.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to do that, because like a writer's room has to be like a holy place. Like, it has to be a place where you can literally do anything, because you're like mining through your brain for stuff, and like sometimes you have to just riff without
You did everything else out of your
anything.
brain.
Like you're not thinking. You're not like putting the brakes on. Like, should I say this? Should I not say this? Like, should I? What, you know what I mean? Like, if you were in front of a group of people, you censor yourself differently than you do around your friends. Everybody does. So you can't have that. Like, you can't have that at all. Like, you can't have like, I'm at work,
An audience.
I shouldn't
no.
say this at work because I'll get fired, whatever mentality.
Yeah.
And like, that doesn't mean that you're saying racist shit or sexist shit. It's just that you can't feel like you have to stop yourself, because as soon as you're editing yourself before you're even saying things, then you're not just having train of thought, interesting, like get
You're
through
afraid,
to the funny
and when
idea.
you're afraid. When you're afraid, you're
You're-
not funny.
Your gut reaction, your intuition is not guiding you in like what is funny.
Yeah. The only way around that is when you go, oh man, this is terrible. Is there something we can do about how terrible this is? That's the only way to address those, and that's very rare.
Yeah, like
But
like I can give you an example of something like that. Like like Dan and I will find like a controversy that's happening in the moment. Like, people were talking about like for a while ago. Like, this is before Final Fantasy 16 came out, but there was like a whole thing about how there's no black people in it.
in Final Fantasy 16, yeah.
Yeah, and then like, you know, the obvious thing that they're saying on the other side of that, the developers are like, yeah, but this is based on, you know, European whatever. Like, they're very specific about what they want, right?
Yeah.
So that's how their brain's thinking it through. And so Dan and I will like take that and then be like, what's a funny way to do this in the dungeon? Like, what's a funny way to have like actual characters debate, you know, like what's appropriate for certain areas. Like,
Yeah.
is this a
Dive into
desert
something
area?
like that.
Like whatever. It's like, you know, like just thinking like climate wise and like having them have like that discussion within the lens of like the dungeon. Like, that's an easy way to mine jokes. Like, we can like get through there, and you know, like anything that we can get like real world examples of where like, oh, people are having this fight on the internet, and we can like read all the comments and be like, oh, we could make fun of these people in this way. Like, the way these people are like doing, like having to spell this out to everybody. It's like, that would be funny coming from Geralt of Rivia.
There's also a lot of like current dialogue, trendy political terms people use that sound like fantasy words. So like, we end up laughing about a ton of stuff, like the term gatekeeper, like just dumb shit where it's like, this sounds like a D&D game. Like, this is so dumb. Like, there's so many words like that. I made a whole list of them on Twitter a while ago before I lost my Twitter.
Yeah, just
all
the
these words.
executioner with the hood and the
Yeah.
huge axe standing in front of a gateway, just going like, "Have you heard of this? There's a band I really like.
Turn
Oh, can I
around,
listen
like,
to it?
yeah.
No."
No girl allowed beyond this point. Like, yeah, there's so many dumb things you can do, but yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we love doing that stuff, like just playing off of things that people are actually talking about. It's nice inspiration.
Fucking even like microaggression and edgelord, like these are all things that sound like actions in D&D. Like a microaggression sounds like something you'd roll for. Like it just sounds dumb. It's just a dumb word. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's most of what we do, and then everything else is like character centric and pulling from how like people in our lives, like from when we were kids or whatever, like how they would react in these situations, and obviously we're making them crazier than they are and all that. Like it's all heightened.
And then there's stuff that makes it into the book that we just do surface level, where it's like one of the jokes in the first book that's almost like a filter for people of if they're going to keep reading it or stop reading it, is where we very heads on are like, vampires are just rapists. They take agency away from people and just fuck them and drink their blood. They hypnotize them, they break into their homes, they just do whatever they want with their hypnotized bodies, and then they leave. That's what vampires do. People love them. Why do they get a pass? Why do vampires get a pass doing this? They've been doing it for thousands of years. That is so stupid and funny to me. And like religious.
Well, that's why. Then, because like, okay, so if we're doing a writing session, Dan says that I would make believe I was another vampire. Even if Dan's explaining this, I would immediately get into character and going like, "But is it really rape if we're hot?"
Exactly, yeah. And then I'll be like, "No, it is," and I'll pretend to be one of the other characters. Like, you literally broke into her house and you hypnotized her. She's not conscious. You suck her blood. You fuck her and you leave. It's just rape, dude. And then he'll be the vampire. We'll just go back and forth and pretend that
Steven. It's role play. Come on, she knows.
We literally write that stuff down as we're saying it, trying to find the funniest versions of saying it, and that becomes that issue. That's literally how we do it. So we think of something that makes us mad, or something that's stupid, or something we notice that's really dumb and fantasy, and then we just start talking as the characters, how they would be arguing about it, and we just write it down.
Yeah, a lot of your guys' iterations would come as like the same way that you see funny shows like Eastbound and Down do improv lines. They're like, give me that line again. So they're reacting to the same line. So that's a lot of what that is too. Like the iterations just come from like, okay, again, like doing the scene again and
make
with
it
each other,
angrier,
like,
make it hornier, make it yeah. That's like 99% of the stuff. Is stuff like that. That's how we typically do it. But sometimes it does go to really dark places, so streaming it is risky.
Yeah, exactly.
That is so
much fun.
When Dave is talking to Dan, because he'll be talking like a vampire.
In voices, yeah.
Yeah, like he talks in voices to you.
Oh,
like the only person.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
No, I did that with.
It's just for me. Yeah, we always do the James from Pokemon voice. That's our vampire voice.
Yeah, and the other one is like even when we were doing the Magic the Gathering comic, like Dan sent me what he had written up for like the lore master that's in it, which he's not a lore. That's not his name, but there's a character who is that. And I read it back to Dan as the characters to just make sure it makes sense. Like, because that's how other people read it. They read it in character. Yes. So you go like, well, this is how it's always been. Like you talk like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And you go through all the dialogue to make sure it fits. Because like it might have been written in a way that isn't appropriate for that character.
My favorite thing about that, because you have to do that. You have to read it as the characters or it's not funny. But then one thing we learned, which we might have to change for book 3, our favorite character in book 2 is this dark knight named Tronix. He's a death knight. And he's depressed and he hates everything. And we love him because we know how he says his lines. but we didn't realize till after the book came out that no one else reading the book knows what Tronix sounds like, and we didn't make a special speech bubble to imply that his voice was special in any way. So I don't know, people might just be reading him like he's a normal dude. They might just think he sounds like this. Like, I have no clue what they think he sounds like.
Okay,
So
but
when
what does he sound like, Dan?
when he's fighting Dale and he's like, I've been listening to your human music, Bruce Springsteen, oh how wicked. Like, he could just be saying it like a normal dude. They don't know that it's me and Dave being like, I've been listening to your human music. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. Oh, how
Yeah, where you go.
like, yeah.
The blue collar you wear with pride is put a veritable noose around your
Yeah.
neck.
Tightening around your neck. Like, they don't know that. So we're like, do we have to make his
How
speech
truly
black?
wicked.
That's
Do
like
we
a
have
whole
to make like a scratchy font for him or something in the new, like, what do we have to do? Because you can hear it in the audiobook. We do it in there, but
Yeah,
like,
he needs crazy font. He needs like jagged nuts. He needs Nathan
Yeah.
James font.
when he's talking about like, as a human, I suffered occasional sadness, seasonal depression. But as a death knight now, I am sad the whole year round. Like,
It
you
came
need-
and went with the falling leaves.
Yeah, you need the voice, or it just doesn't work. Because otherwise, it's just, yeah. When I was a human, I was sad a lot, but yeah, as a death knight now, I'm just sad the whole year round.
Yeah.
It's just,
Dave.
it's just
Oh,
not,
wait.
it's so dumb.
Yeah, now it needs to be jagged and shaky looking with a spooky bubble.
So we
Uh,
might have to-
Robotic type.
that's
Well,
one of those
no,
things
it has
where-
to be like in I don't know what you'd call it, like dirt bike font.
Yeah, it would have to be. It'd have to be the movie Rad, font, like scratchy chic.
Oh my god, I totally knew what dirt bike font.
Yeah.
dirt bike song. Just from you saying that, like I could totally picture it.
If anyone's curious, get the audiobooks because Tronix is probably the most processed voice other than Don Wheeler in there. It's like it's 3 octaves layered on top of each other with echo with a warp.
Yeah.
So and it's like it's him going, oh how wicked, and then quietly under it it's like, oh wicked, like way lower. It's like it's so many. It's like a haunted house voice. I processed the hell out of it.
I wish I had that. Remember how I was going through my old Dropbox and I found all those or whatever it was that you had sent. I was
Yeah.
going through old Facebook chat that you had sent me. And it was just you in the recording studio.
Oh yeah, I know. And I had to like doing Tronix. I had to like put my arms up like a bat and like get into like gargoyle poses. I had to like. There's no way to do it sitting still because every line he says he screams.
Oh my
I just had this
God.
fully grown man who looks like a hockey goalie staring at me while I do that in a little booth sweating.
Mhm.
Are hockey goalies hot or are they ugly?
No, he looks like just like a, I don't even know what to. Dave knows what I'm talking about, but I don't know how to describe him.
Wait, what? Who?
Like a stocky guy with no neck. He looks like a penguin kind of with like a goatee.
That's not hot.
Who does?
That's a disgusting description.
I never said he was hot.
Okay, well that's what I was asking.
Oh yeah, no. It was Shane. Shout out to Shane.
Oh, Shane.
We love
Uh,
you, Shane.
Dave TS, do you think Dracula is capable of being slightly racist? Not a full racist, but like slightly smooth racist?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think he's
yeah.
a full-on racist.
He is, yeah.
He's a Transylvanian from the 1800s. Yeah, he hates gypsies. Absolutely.
Yes, he's definitely a racist.
Yeah, 100%. I think we had a comic where he asked Steve, "Who are all these people moving into the neighborhood?" Didn't we?
Yeah, there's there's a whole thing like that.
Yeah, there was a whole thing.
Stephen, curious. Curious me.
We had
Yeah.
the casual Jerry Curl, and he started dating a black girl. I remember that one.
Yeah.
I've been fishing in a new Steven, I've been fishing in a new pond. What do you mean, Dracula?
Why the fuck do you have Why do you have a perm?
Let's just say, when you live in the shadows, you don't get invited to too many barbecues. So you stop talking in code. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah, I'm dating a black woman.
Cut
That's what
all
he
of
said.
it.
Yeah, we never put it in, but
Cut all
yeah,
of it.
we wanted him to be in there doing. Oh, it's only because we repeated that joke, and we didn't
'Cause
want to
we were
do
like-
like multiple versions of the same joke.
We were like, why does Dracula never kill black people? We're like, he never. We're like, even in modern takes on Dracula, it never happens. It's always some skinny white girl.
That would be
Maybe he stood
really
for a
funny.
cause.
You know what? We
What?
should do that. That would be a really funny one. If like
To support Black Lives Matter.
No, they
He does.
taste.
no, I'm
Sure, they taste the same. What do you mean? Well, you never
No.
go after them.
I'm talking about like we should have a very classical vampire, but have like some member of like NWA be his familiar. Like, dude, yeah, I want to be a fucking vampire. What about it?
Oh,
That would be really funny if we did that.
we gotta think of the perfect name. We gotta think of a name that's as good as like Igor. That works.
E
No, it
dash
has-
gore.
Oh, that's very good. 2 cans, not like the bird, Stephen. Like 2 cans of beer. Because he always be drinking.
Cause he always be drinking. Just like fuck it up. Just be like, what are you doing right now?
Oh, that's really good.
That's
Oh,
that's called.
So good.
You
That's
probably don't
really
want to talk like that. They call that code. You don't want to do that. It's very bad.
that's not a good thing.
What
to
you
do.
talking about? Please,
They didn't, Stephen.
please, and then you say, "Did you catch that, Dracula? I didn't even say the N word." I know my place,
I too. am
and
an
I know my
N-word.
race.
Nosferatu. Anybody? We're all N-words here. Come from a long line of N-words. Nosferatu. People in my land won't see it either. They're terrified of the word. Huh. That's so terrible. I too have been reduced to a word for hundreds of years.
And much like you, if they say the word, then pop, pop, pop. Put his hands out.
I too have been reduced to an N word for hundreds of years. No matter what I do, I'm reduced to simply Nosferatu. I understand your struggle, brothers.
I'm much more than that. I have a whole culture.
Oh God.
I don't be relegated to but a word. It's
Have you ever heard
disgusting
of
what these white folks do.
Cultural. Have you ever heard of cultural appropriation? All these goths painting their nails black.
Yeah. Adopting the night as if it was their own.
Ugh.
My people
Having
weep every
shared the
time we
same
pass.
struggles.
When I see a widow's peak, oh.
My people weep each time we pass a Spencer's Gifts or a Hot Topic.
That's like cornrows to Igor. Just, hey, you can't do that.
Those fishnet sleeves are like chains to me. Oh God. Well, anyway, there you go. You got what you wanted.
Yeah.
You got what you wanted, chat. You got a writing session.
I don't even call it black magic anymore.
Kill
Disgusting.
Steve. 2 cans here is going to quote, pimp out my courage. Oh man.
Everything's a little wrong. Everything's just a
Exactly.
few years off.
A little too 2001.
Yeah.
Just a
Everything he
little,
knows about black people is from the movie.
Man,
Everything is from Colors.
exactly that.
I saw it once at a midnight showing. It was the first time I'd seen the sun.
Do the interview with the vampire joke? I
Yeah,
haven't seen the sun in 75 years. Until that one night in a movie theater at a screening of Colors. Oh my god.
Until the screening of Boys in the Hood.
And Boys in the Hood.
That's the first time I saw the sunrise in 1,000 years. It's also the first time I saw black people.
That's also the first time, yeah.
And I said, what are those? Perhaps they are vampires.
What are those?
Hey, wait, hold on, because doesn't one of the books
See, I
have a
stopped
song?
myself.
What? You gotta cool it. We're getting into the territory.
But
doesn't one
that
of
would
the
be funny.
doesn't one of the books have a song? Didn't Dan do a song for like the?
There's a bunch of songs.
Talking about the music, there's a ton. Are you talking about the musical
There's a
when
lot.
Dracula Goes Home?
Yeah, there's a lot. Isn't there like a whole lunchroom song too, or something?
That was. I don't know. Can we talk about that?
No, we can't.
We can't talk about that. The one, there's a musical
Oh
number.
shit! I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. There's a musical number when Dracula goes home in the book, though.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
So
the
then,
beginning of
because
book 2.
because it's
Yeah.
because it's book 3. You need to do a rap, and you just need to have Dracula be unaware of like how inappropriate it is for him to ask his entourage Igor to be like, drop a beat for me, and then he just
Yeah.
raps, but it's in the Dracula voice,
I've got
and
rhythm.
it's not good.
I too have rhythm.
Drop.
I've got
the beat.
rhythms, I got rhyme, and I be a man stuck out of time. But it's have Igor clapping.
Talking to the devil,
Yeah.
I would sell my soul for some soul. Please. Oh my god. Yeah, we can do this.
It's funny.
It's
First
funny
edition
because
people.
we based our frog character Morgan off a character from The Wire. I don't know why. It's just what happened.
Idris Elba, right?
No, well,
No.
kinda. He's a few characters. There's a little bit of Stringer Bell, and there's
Mhm.
a lot of that. What's his name? There's a little bit of Omar, and there's
Oh.
Omar.
there's a
Yep,
lot
it's
of
Omar.
that. There's a lot
It's
of
Omar.
Omar, and then there's a lot of that guy whose
With the
name
bow
I can't
tie.
remember. The guy in the bow tie,
Yeah,
who looks like
that was like he was a mixture of Omar and the guy in the bow tie.
the one with
The-
the old
the
like
one
a.
who-
Yeah, go ahead.
Do the Denna songs play when he's on screen? Is that the one I'm
That's-
thinking of?
That's
It's,
not in the Wire.
It's
Oh.
the guy in the bow tie and the wire who wants to kill Omar, and he's always wearing a tuxedo, and he has a Walter PPK, and he always talks like this. He always talks like the guy from the Warriors, where he's like, "Hell of a night there, brother. Shame to be caught dead in these streets." And he's like very like it's very very like 70s in a weird way. Like
I
Yeah.
might have to look it up. It's been so long since I watched it. I like it.
shame to see a fellow like you out here catching a bullet. He's like very formal.
Yeah. All right, y'all. I'm gonna end this stream before it gets out of hand. We've been on for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, thank you all for being here. Love to you. We'll see you next week. Yeah, boy.